RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Tara Devlin. And yeah, we're having another Tarabuster. I'm trying to do as many shows as possible. The more shows we do, the more people we reach out to. And here comes Tara Jr. already. Come on, man. I can't have the cat up here in the beginning of the show. Oh, all right, sit down, sweetie. Sit. All right, everybody can say hello. Let's... Everybody. Tara Jr. Here he is. My little number one son. I love this cat. All right, so we usually... All right, let me get this in front of my face. I'm trying to... it's very difficult to hear the... I don't hear the levels, so if it's too loud, too low, whatever, tell me if you're on the chat. All right, we meet here every... Well, we have a time at Saturday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. It has to be flexible, all right? Because until we get enough patrons to have a set show at a set time, it's going to be difficult. So become a patron at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. And, excuse me, keep coming back. It works if you work it. So work it, you're worth it. We're also on ROKFIN. You can join ROKFIN for some original content, not just from me, but from Jimmy DORE and who else? Lee Camp. That's the cat moving the microphone away from my face. Great. It's been a very stressful day, I have to say. Not just with the impeachment, with the cats. I have a lot of cat drama going on in my house because of Ray, the new cat. It's really upset the whole balance in here, and they're constantly fighting. I'm really struggling with it. They could eat together, but then all of a sudden they'll turn nasty to each other, and I'm just kind of sick of it. I'm sick of listening to the fights. I tried, you're not supposed to allow them to work it out. That's not what you do. And I have all kinds of things going on here. I have this Jackson Galaxy Peacemaker on their fur, so they smell. Supposed to make them friendlier. I have the Feel Away diffusers in the house. I do the scent swapping thing. Hopefully they'll calm down. Maybe when Ray gets older. He's just a kitten, so he's not exactly a kitten. He's less than a year though, and he kind of picks on them. But he's just... Are you telling me there's no sound? Hello? Oh, perfect sound. Okay, good. Thank you. I got to read the whole sentence. Thank you. It's hard not to. Yes. You have the diffusers there too, White Rabbit. It's difficult. I've never had this experience where usually in the beginning there's an adjustment and then they get over it. But this has become... And I'm also worried about Tara Jr. because he's 10 years old and I don't want stressing him out like this. It affects their health. So I'm worried about that. So I want peace. So it's been a day. I've been stressed out. They've been fighting. And then you can't allow them to fight, so I separate them. And because people say, oh, just let them work it out. That's not a good idea. They will not work it out. So I'm always feeding them together and giving them treats. It's like another job on top of every other job. On top of the other 5 jobs I have. All right. Thank you for letting me share. I'm thinking of getting a behavioral cat person, like a Jackson Gal. I don't know. That's going to be a lot of money though. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll work out. All right. Cats can't get along. Humans can't get along. Nobody can get along. But that's the thing. There's nothing wrong. It's not like there's they're getting less food, or everybody has their own spot. They kind of, whatever. I don't know. All right. So, yeah, people can't. Today it was fascinating again, but also depressing. Because we really are, we have to, okay, and I just want to say thank you all for your support. Thanks for your being patrons and all your super chats and keeping the show going, and more importantly, keeping the show growing. And in that spirit, let's welcome our newest patron. Tonight's show, all right, is brought to us by, if I can find the drum roll, M. David Sorabe. Thank you, M. David, because of you and your the rest of your fellow patrons taking the leap by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. You will keep the show growing and growing, and we might have a shot. I believe that, to fix this country, because we have the solutions. It's not just chewing the fat here. We know what we have to do. And part of what we're doing, getting together, is it's a spiritual and emotional connection we're making, because you need each other. I need you. We need like-minded people. It's kind of therapy for the resistance, and also it gives us the, I think, spirit to continue to fight. Legally and peacefully, of course, but to spread the progressive message that not only built the middle class, but will rebuild it and fix this country, really unify this country. And we know what will unify it. It's a matter of willpower, and it's a matter of pushing the oligarchy out of our body politic. But today, see, the impeachment, Trump needs to be impeached. If anybody needs to be impeached, it's him. It's been him from the jump. He is a criminal. So it gets on my nerves, to put it mildly, to watch the Republicans protect him. It's also, as much as I know, and I've been saying this for years, that Republicans are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about, it's disappointing to be proven right. I would like to be proven incorrect. Really. I would like to be surprised. Like, for example, did you watch the impeachment proceedings today? So they were debating whether the entire impeachment process itself against Trump was constitutional or not. Wait, all of a sudden my ROKFIN signed out. Why? Hold on a second. ROKFIN. I have 10,000 windows open. Log in. Why did it sign out? All right, Tara Jr., I gotta put you down. Please, sweetie. I'm sorry. He's very cranky, too. You hear him? And I know that's a byproduct of everything he's going through. Why is my ROKFIN signed out? I just have to check this really quickly. I'm gonna make sure everything's streaming. I have like 10,000 channels open. Alright. Weird how it just signed out. Alright. Here he comes. He's coming back. Tara Jr. Okay, it is streaming. Good. Alright. So, what was his name? One of these Republicans, after listening to the disgraceful arguments. Did you hear those arguments? Now, you had one, as it always is. You have one party, the Democrats, who are adults, who are normal, who are mature, who actually do their job, who show up and effectively fight their case and plead their case. Stop, honey, stop. Everybody's on my nerves. Stop it. Holy shit. Can I get a fucking minute? Oh, God. All right, I have to change all my... Put the coffee here, put the keyboard up here. Look, here. This is what I'm dealing with. The cat's, like, on the keyboard. So, I had the keyboard here. Oh, God, here comes the music, too. All right, this is Tarabuster for all its technical difficulties. So, the goddamn Republicans, and we're also going to try not to curse a lot. That's another thing, because YouTube doesn't like it. And I'm in fear that they're going to kick me off, just like I got kicked off of Facebook. And that's, the RDT Daily page got kicked off Facebook. That's a whole other story. So this guy, Bill Cassidy, a Republican, he changed his vote. And because it was surprising. Really. Because really, what does it take? Anybody who watched those arguments, it was so embarrassing. I was embarrassed for these men who were arguing for Donald Trump. And, well, let's just play. Of course, I'm getting a beach ball. Bill Cassidy. Here's what he says.
You were the one Republican who changed votes to a yes. What happened? What changed your mind?
What changed your mind?
I said I'd be an impartial juror. Anyone listening to those arguments, the House managers were focused, they were organized, they relied upon both precedent, the Constitution, and legal scholars. They made a compelling argument. President Trump's team were disorganized. They did everything they could but to talk about the question at hand. And when they talked about it, they kind of glided over it, almost as if they were embarrassed of their arguments. Now, if I'm an impartial juror, and one side's doing a great job, and the other side's doing a terrible job on the issue at hand, as an impartial juror, I'm going to vote for the side that did the good job.
Yeah, they not only did, what do you mean, a good job? They were coherent. They weren't rambling. They made sense. They had the truth on their side, of course. And the Republicans don't have a leg to stand on, so they have to do what they always do. Distract, point fingers. I don't know what they're rambling about. The Roman Republic. Yeah, you're doing a good job. They were praising their the Democratic, the impeachment managers, and they said, "Oh, we had to change our whole setup here." I went, and one of them, the first one, I don't know what he was talking about. Nobody knew. And then I went on Twitter to feel, because I had to check, am I the only one that is entirely confused and lost? I don't even see any bit of logic in what they're trying to say. But that's not the point. You see, it doesn't matter. Logic doesn't matter. They could have got up there like Ted Cruz did back in the day and read Green Eggs and Ham. Remember that? When he filibustered, the ACA. That's what Republicans do. What do they ever bring to the table? Nothing. Why do people vote for them? See, it doesn't matter. They are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about. So they could have been up there. They could have sent Scooby-Doo and Snoopy up there. In fact, they probably would have been more compelling if they did that. They could have sent any fictional lawyer that sucks. How do these people, where do they find these people? And this isn't the A team, clearly. This is the Z team. This is like beyond the people they had to get when Giuliani wasn't available. So, well, of course, what do you expect? And I, at certain times throughout the argument, I was thinking, are they talking about, which side are they on? Are they trying to defend Trump? Or are they backing up the case for prosecution? Because that's what it sounded like. And it made absolutely no sense. So one guy went out there, and he was very low energy, clearly, and rambling. And the other one, I guess he was going with the bad cop tactic. So people, where is this? So they were saying, well, it was very bizarre. He kept touching his head every time he drank water, and then it was like, oh, he's an observant Orthodox Jew who's not wearing a yarmulke, and every time he takes a drink, he has to cover his head and say a silent prayer. Oh, isn't that wonderful? So he's an overt religious nut and also an overt crook. How do you wash being overtly Orthodox? You're so religious, you have to say a silent prayer to your sky spook every time you take a drink of water. But you're up there defending a traitorous, tax-cheating, draft-dodging, dictator wannabe con man. A liar. The big liar. This country is in trouble. I hope you guys realize that. It's Trump and the entire Republican Party needs to be smashed legally and peacefully, of course. Because they're not going away. They are a corrupt cult. They're an anti-democratic death cult, and they're after this country. They want to destroy this country for good, and it's clear. Still, if they wanted to save this country, they could. They could break up with Trump. They have every opportunity to do it, but they don't want to. They're in deeper with Trump, and they have no shame. The video that the Democrats played to kick off their case was, of course, entirely compelling and true. So when you see that video, it was never a peaceful protest. It went awry. It was just a couple of bad apples. They misinterpreted when Giuliani said trial by combat, and when Trump lied to them for the weeks and weeks leading up to that day, or telling them to come to Washington. It's going to be wild. Telling them that the election is stolen and this is the last chance they have to save their country from who? We know who. The evil people who are eating babies. This is where we are. They're evil. And this is what he says during the riot when he's watching giddily, and they're trying to reach him to say, send out the National Guard, and he's unreachable because he's watching and he's enjoying it. And right here on Breitbart, of course, the Republicans they're up in arms on Breitbart because the establishment media collective, how do they say, expresses collective outrage over Democrats' impeachment video. But you know why? Because they left out that one tweet when Trump said, be peaceful. So somewhere in all of the tweets where he was like, it's stolen, it's stolen by evil people, fight, you gotta fight. When that video, we love you, that he only did, they wrote a script. Oh shit. Wait, I just pulled out my headphones. They wrote a script for him. And he went off script. Hold on, guys. Where are you? Where's my guys? Who's on Twitch? Uh-huh. Let's see. Where are my people? Thank you, everybody. See what I'm dealing with? Hold on. Let me see. I need a producer. That's why you got to become a patron. I really do thank you all for being part of the show. And for being so understanding. I guess it's kind of the charm of the show in a way. That I'm fumbling through all kinds of technical problems. All right, let me look. Who's here? Where's my people? I see Greg. This is like magic window. Hi, Haiku. I'm going to try. Yes, Haiku says, awesome, Tara's on. Yes, thank you. Because I'm going to try as much as I can. I will do as many shows as I can to grow the show, to help grow the show, and when I can. If I don't have a schedule conflict in the evening. So we're going to try to do a show tomorrow tomorrow's the first day of the real impeachment trial. So, and thank you, JD, for your super chat. In pounds, yeah. Right, that's pounds, right? So we got White Rabbit and Terry Taylor. Yes, I'm on Twitch too, Terry, but I don't really... There's not a lot of people over on Twitch. Most people are at YouTube. Maybe one day. That's why we stream in different platforms. I do see, though, it is good. It's good. The show is growing. I noticed that we're getting more views. We have more people subscribing to the channel. So remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So when we do decide, when we do have the time to do shows, you'll be notified. And you can come running over to the screen. Screaming like, yay! Like it's Christmas morning. No, it's good for us. All of us to get together and push this country where it needs to go and build our community. The more people we spread this message to, the quicker we're going to save the country from the right-wing fascists. Well, I repeat. Because we have all the answers. I'm not sitting here saying, I don't know what to do. We know what to do. We know what the problem is. The problem is money in politics. Of course it is. Right, there's a couple of things. All right. So Trump, where is this? Here's the article from Breitbart. Let me see. Let's put like this. Bump, bump, bump. So from Breitbart, impeachment manager Jamie Raskin, who previously objected to results from Donald Trump's 2016 victory. Oh, wah. That's what they say. Yeah, this is Republicans. Well, you did it. I know you are, but what am I? But Democrats never sent an army of dupes to storm the Capitol and stop the election, the electoral college from being counted. Yeah, he objected. It's kind of something that happens. It routinely happens in each, well, especially when the con man or the Republican, because this is what happens, the Republican receive fewer votes. So it's really time to get rid of the Electoral College. That's a different story. And that's another thing. You want a more perfect union? Get rid of the Electoral College. Get rid of these right-wing albatrosses hanging around our national necks. Stop the tyranny of the minority. And it's another reason why we do the show, the unapologetic liberal talk. Because we have to point out that we are the majority. We're in the majority. They are the minority. They receive fewer votes. They represent a minority view. They represent a minority of people. They're only in office, like Jim Jordan, for example. He's in office. His district is the very definition of gerrymandered. He would not be in office without gerrymandering. So they can't win without their dirty tricks. And we have to call them out on it, and it's not okay. So it's time for Democrats to actually fight legally and peacefully, to not be so pushed, not, let's be bipartisan with a bunch of traitors who have no interest in a democracy at all. Lead impeachment manager Jamie Raskin fought the certification of electoral votes from Florida in 2017. Oh, wow. When attempting to prevent then President-elect Donald Trump from assuming office, Raskin urged several of the Florida electors to not lawfully certified. I have an objection because the 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified because they violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holders. Gee, that sounds like a legitimate objection. And I wonder what Republicans would do if the shoe was on the other foot. You see, they are so full of shit. They excuse me for cursing. Like I said, YouTube, excuse me. They remind me of toddlers who poop their diapers and then they cry but blame other people for the stench. That's who they are. Why does it stink in here? Well, check your diapers, Republicans. You stink. You stink it up. What do you think? When I'm reading this, see, I didn't know why particularly. I don't know everything, but why Jamie Raskin objected to the electoral college. That seems like a legitimate, a legitimate objection. They're not lawfully certified. They violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holders. Raskin had to admit his objection was not supported by a senator and therefore it went nowhere. That's what happens. It happens every election. It happened this election. But this time they were objecting to shit that isn't real. To supposedly dead voters voting and illegals, quote unquote. There is no voter fraud in the country. But give Republicans a chance and there's election fraud. There's electronic voter redshift, the electronic voting machine redshift that occurred in George Bush's election and in Ohio. So they have no interest in legitimate elections. Clearly, look at this entire. Look at the last 4 years. Look at the 2020 election, and they're still at it, which is incredibly dangerous. And that's why we know that the Republican Party is. They really are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about. I'm not just saying that. They are proving me correct. They have a standard bearer who we know praises and worships authoritarians all over the globe. He hates democracy. This is clear. That's how know him by his fruits. They don't seem to have a problem with that, though. When they asked, who did they? Oh, yeah, it was the other day. They asked, we played a video. They're asking Rand Paul what he thinks about Donald Trump's love affair with Putin. Why he gives Putin everything he wants. Why he meets in secret with Putin. And he confiscates the transcript so we don't get to see what they talked about. You trust that? And Rand Paul said, yes, it's completely legitimate, and I think it's a good thing if the president has a good relationship with Putin. As if he's not being taken for a ride. As if Putin is sincere. He sincerely likes his best bud, Donald Trump. And he's not manipulating this easily manipulated. Well, he's a bitch. He's Putin's bitch. Putin's poodle. Putin's puppy. That's what he is. Everything that Donald Trump did, foreign policy wise, was run directly through Putin's approval. That's not a coincidence. It's because he's not to be trusted. He's a wannabe dictator. He wants to have the United States, and we're on our way. He would like the United States to be like Russia, to have a fake democracy. That they have that too. They go vote. Putin wins 90% of the vote. This is what happens. Then they have a vote to change the Constitution to ensure that Putin can remain in office to 2036, and then that wins by 90%, as if that's how you know it's fraudulent. Only these autocrats all over the globe, whenever they have these fake elections, it was with Saddam Hussein too. They would have elections in Iraq, and Saddam Hussein would win 99% of the vote. It's completely fraudulent, or the people are completely cowed and afraid. So they vote. They vote for the guy who's, if I just vote, I can get on with my life and I'm not going to end up dead. That's the way people are. If you read anything about the rise of Hitler in Germany, that's all you need to know about humans, human nature, how human beings, how evil breaks out, how evil prevails. The only way evil triumphs is when good men and women do nothing. I encourage everyone to read and learn about the rise and fall of the Third Reich. It's depressing, but we have an obligation to understand human beings. Most human beings, the majority, this is how it happened in Germany. People look the other way because they don't want to get involved. They just want to fly under the radar and not cause any trouble. They don't want to end up dead. They don't want to be pulled into a concentration camp and never seen again. This is what happens in authoritarian countries. But the other half of the country, or whatever, I'm just saying half, I don't have the actual statistic, but they look the other way. When the people disappear in the night, they pretend. I don't see. I don't want to get involved. I don't know. I know nothing. But all you got to do is look at those newsreel videos. You see. And exactly, that's what, what's his name? Was it Herman Goring? Goring, right. Goring. He was which one was he? He was the one, yes, the one who was in charge of the Air Force, the Luftwaffe. And I remember reading something about Herman Goring in the trials at Nuremberg, and he said, it's pretty chilling though. He said, "Oh yeah, well, how they cheered for us." And that's what you have to, when you see the newsreels of the people and their rallies and the average people on this, as Hitler goes by, cheering and screaming and like the Beatles are in town. It can happen anywhere, and it can happen here. It is happening here. That's why we can't be deceived. And another thing, and we talk about on the show, and every right-wing takeover, every autocrat takeover of a democratic republic, you find the collaborators, the right-wingers, the conservatives. They collaborate with the enemies. They collaborate with the fascists because they get what they want. Because ultimately, the conservative ideology is an anti-democratic ideology. It is. even the average Joe morons who stormed the Capitol, they don't want democracy. Clearly. They want to nullify the votes of people who aren't like them. That's not democracy. Not in a country of 320 million diverse people, a nation of immigrants. They hate this country. You get it? They hate it. This is a nation of immigrants, whether they like it or not. That's America. Unless you're a Native American, your ancestors came from somewhere else. This is a nation of immigrants. It was created like that. That was how the founders, they knew that they were creating a nation of immigrants. They encouraged immigration. There is a complicated history of immigration in this country, where you have periods where immigrants are welcome, and then you have periods of backlash. It happened. That's human beings. The stupids get in control. If you just read the history of New York City, the history of immigration in New York, and all the different languages that were spoken here when the first settlers came. At first, they considered it a good thing, and then there were, as long as everybody knew their place. There was always somebody lower on the totem pole. So, we're trying to overcome the human failings and make a more perfect union. We have all of the building blocks. We can do it. It is possible to make a more perfect union, to have a country that isn't constantly going up in flames. We can have a country that we can be proud of, legitimately, that protects, that promotes the general welfare, where we are in it together, where e pluribus unum is our rallying cry. It feels good to me when I say it. You know, the truth is when you hear it. Sometimes when you hear the truth, you can feel it in your soul, in your stomach. When I hear e pluribus unum as an action plan, you know it's the truth, because it just rings true in your in your human DNA. We know what's fair. We know what's right. But where was I? Yes, so the establishment media expressed collective outrage over Democrats' impeachment video. So their video, for example, edited out Trump's remarks to his supporters to make their voices peacefully heard. Because he said that once, after being pushed again and again, after getting all kinds of phone calls, distressed phone calls, and he was being coached, clearly, to say something. You got to say something to stop the madness, stop the death and destruction that you caused. So he tweeted that the dum-dums needed to make their voices peacefully heard after people were already dead at this point. I don't know if they had already taken dumps in the Capitol and smeared it all over the carpets and drapes yet, but probably. So, Breitbart, the conservative, the so-called conservative, the fascist news, they have an issue with normal people. When we watch that video of the violence at the Capitol, and it's 13 minutes or so, and it's completely sickening and compelling, of course, and to me it's like, case closed. We know what he did. Those people, that is why, okay? This is why we need a real liberal media, that we need a prolific and ubiquitous liberal media that is everywhere. So not everybody will be saved, but you know that there are people in that crowd that if they went online and found this show or Tom Hartman or another show that wasn't lying to them, they would have not been at the Capitol. they wouldn't believe the bullshit that is being peddled to them. The Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world are probably a lost cause, because that is like a perfect storm of stupidity. In order to be attracted to a QAnon all the QAnon bullshit, you have to be a susceptible moron. If I went online and I found QAnon, I might read it, but I wouldn't believe it. I would read it as the way that I would read an article about the apes or something. You want to learn. It's an anthropological study. But I wouldn't be like, wow, is that true? You mean Anderson Cooper drinks the blood of babies? And Hillary Clinton drinks baby blood and washes and bathes in it? This is what they said. There's a lot of dum-dums around. They were all over. We don't have the corner market on dum-dums. But they just have a big, big voice. That's one of the things at this sham whatever. When the Democrats they made their case, and then the Republicans came up and made a mockery out of everything, out of their own lives. But that one of their arguments was, freedom of speech. So this is their argument, and I keep hearing this on wherever, on corporate media too. You hear these right wingers saying that the American people, it's freedom of speech. You see, when they lie, so a lie has equal weight as the truth, and the American people should just figure it out. You should just figure out what's true and what's false. How do you figure that out? So the other people are saying, no, that's not true. So that's why it's dangerous. That's why you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Well, you should just figure it out. If somebody yells fire in a crowded theater, you should figure out, well, is that really true? Is there really a fire? I believe in the American people. I trust the American people to know the difference. And how? How do you know? That's why propaganda works. That's why every autocrat devalues the currency of truth and takes over the media. And see, Trump couldn't completely take over the media in this country, so he had to devalue the media. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to don't believe what you're seeing and hearing. That's what he said. That's how you know, right out of the gate, anybody with any wisdom, with a grasp on history and reality, would have recognized from the get-go that is a fascist, and a dangerous fascist that needs to be stopped. The Republicans should have said, that's it, enough. Of course, I contend they should have said, no, thank you, when he came down the escalator calling Mexicans rapists. That should have been fascist enough for them. You don't take, well, that's fascism. You take the minority group du jour that you kick down upon, and you do it. You kick down. You spread ignorance and hate against the minority group that suits you at the moment. That's how vile they are. And the Republicans' power structure should have pulled the plug on him. And they still could have. This is the thing. They still, see now, it's bizarre, but not unexpected, how they're still enabling Trump, even though he's been deplatformed, he's completely neutered. So they don't have to worry about the tweet that's coming, they're going to be tweeted at. So I saw a story on the corporate media this morning. They went to some Trump county to interview them. What do they think of impeachment? This Trump county that went for Trump for 70% in Pennsylvania. God help you, morons. And they were like, oh, it's ridiculous. It's you can't impeach him. It's unconstitutional. And they're basically regurgitating the same shit they hear coming out of Rand Paul's mouth. So these people they're not constitutional scholars. They're not smart. They're easily led. They're parrots repeating what they hear. They don't have a grasp of history or reality. They don't know American history. They don't know what it means to be an American. They think being American means, well, like being a Republican, never saying you're sorry. That's what being an American means. You can be a douchebag. They think America is USA, 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 just being an ugly prick. And proud of it. That's it. They don't understand what the liberal age of enlightenment, the throwing off the monarchy, creating a country of, by, and for the people. And of course, they don't want to hear anything about the genocide that this country was built on, and the ugly truth. But still us. This is the ugly truth that we have to rectify if we want to have a more perfect union. If they really loved this country, they would want to rectify our racist history. They would want to have a truth and reconciliation around it. They would want to have they would listen to this show, frankly. Everybody in, nobody out. That's how we heal. We are in this together. Universal health care, regardless. We pay our taxes, and then everybody gets health care because we're Americans, all of us. We're an American when you're born here. You have all different cultures here from all over the world. That's what makes America great. It truly is. But we're in it together. That's how we will start to heal. Well, we know it. All right. Look at all these ads here this is Breitbart. This is boobs, and boobs. And another boob here. What's this guy's name? I forget his name. Oh my God. Who's calling me? From Silver Springs, Maryland. I don't care. It's probably some bullshit. I get nothing but bullshit calls. Scam calls. Or, who calls? Nobody calls you anymore. It's all text. Or I'll get calls. Well, I told you I get calls saying that I'm under arrest. There's a warrant out for my arrest. I get calls every day. I got another one today from somebody who was speaking Chinese. There's this Chinese scam going on. I don't know if it's everywhere, but it's in New York. So there's a lot of, I guess, Chinese immigrants here. So every day I get a call speaking Chinese. All right, let's see. So the Breitbart has a problem that the journalists sounded off on the video that we watched, the video that the Democrats put together, and normal people had a normal reaction to what they saw. Just sickening, says Guy Benson. Matt Lewis says, anyone watching this trial who still votes to acquit is either too stupid or too immoral to keep their jobs in the U.S. Senate. And Breitbart, the Breitbart editorial staff writes, Never Trumper Matt Lewis of the Daily Beast opined. Please. This is going to be a tough week for the Capitol Hill community. CNN, I mean, it's just Twitter, a bunch of tweets from people who had a reaction. Rightfully so. Yeah, let me see if I can play some of the video. I have it. Let me show. Go home. We love you. Not that one. Here.
We will stop the steal.
Right there. Impeach him. There's nothing being stolen except the American experiment, you fascist bastard. And like I was saying, he wants this country to be like Russia. And Russia is an oligarchy where Putin and anyone who suckles up to him, Putin tells them who can get rich, who can be in the inner circle. He dictates the entire economy. I mean, it is an oligarchy, effectively. But it's wrapped in the trappings of democracy. So he has his press conferences once a year. He has that press conference. Pretends that he's legally elected. Everything that he does, but it's a rogue regime. Poisoning people, murdering journalists, murdering opposition party leaders and anyone who criticizes, murdering or vilifying and like Pussy Riot, sending artists to jail. That's not free. But, you can see Russia went through, they have elections. Putin can claim, at least on the surface, that he is a legally, democratically elected leader. That's why calling him president is an insult. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of all of these autocrats. That's the new king. They're not going to call themselves king. They will call themselves president, like President Xi. President? There's no president. If you're president for life, that's not a president. But that's what Trump wanted. He saw Putin, and he wanted to be like Putin. How come Putin can continue to rule? What's with this democracy thing? This is why he also, it doesn't matter if anybody who voted for him. That's why he asked the Secretary of State of Georgia to just find him as many votes as he needed. Just all I need is 13,000 or 15,000, whatever it was. Come on, give me a break here. He said that it's in itself is impeachable. Impeach. There is so many impeachable acts that he needed to be impeached for, and the Republicans didn't do a goddamn thing, and they covered his ass. They continued to cover his ass. Everything from using campaign funds to pay off porn stars. All of everything, including the first impeachment. The crimes. Twitler is a criminal, and it's not him alone. The Republican Party they're the problem. They are truly the cancer on this country. Twitler is just the boiling pustule, tumor that bursts through the surface of the skin. He may be the one that we're focusing on, but the entire Republican Party, they are what made America sick to begin with. The whole thing is rotten. And I really hope Joe Biden and the Democrats, and that's why we do the show too, to get the word out and push them, but that they understand. They're irredeemable. Just because one of them comes up, one Republican hears the testimony, sees the one group that is prepared, it's not even about preparation, it's about truth. And the other one has the truth on its side. The other one are a joke. Whatever they're talking about, it was a joke. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How grown men, and I was wondering, they're getting paid for this? But then I thought, of course they're not. Because Twitler doesn't pay. He stiffs them. He stiffed Giuliani. He stiffs everybody. He stiffed Michael Cohen. That's in Michael Cohen's book. He writes about how half the time he didn't get paid, and he didn't want to push it because of his loyalty to Trump. He decided, well, he would just do things on the cuff. But that's who Twitler is. He doesn't pay. He's a grifter. But here's some of the video.
Lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with
This
you.
wasn't a close election. Right there. Impeach him.
We're going to walk down.
We are? You ain't walking anywhere. To the Capitol. Take it. Take the Capitol.
Where our problems are.
Our problem? Yeah, your problems. You didn't win. Try again next time. At first you don't succeed, right? But that's what being a Republican means. Never saying you're sorry.
Thousands of votes. They came in duffel bags. Where the hell did they come from?
They came in duffel bags. Wait, I hit the wrong button. They came in. Well, where? You want to see where? How come if they came in duffel bags, you don't have the proof? You don't have a leg to stand on. Over 80 court cases were thrown out with prejudice because they had nothing. All they had were their complaints and their excuses. And they went to the court and they wanted the court to do to stop the vote counting, stop it all, stop the steal, supposedly, meaning stop the count of the votes. Because I'm not going to win. How is this possible? Last time I received fewer votes and I got to be the so-called president. I got to fly around on Air Force One and have everybody say hail to the chief when I walked in the room and call me sir. At least in the tellings, when I would tell everybody that's how you know he was lying. That everybody was going around calling him sir. And he especially liked when his generals would call him sir. You have people who worked their whole lives, came up through the ranks to become generals. Could you imagine? Then they got a genuflate, a salute. That orange piece of human waste, that orange draft dodging, tax cheating prick. You got to salute that? What? That's how you know the country needs a serious reboot. Where you're saluting, and you're saluting a draft dodging con man who hates this country. And these Republicans don't give a crap because ultimately they have their eyes on the prize, and their eyes are on the prize. The prize is the end of democracy. That's it, guys. It's not that complicated. It's the same thing we've been up against, that working people have been up against forever. The rich against the rest of us. That's what it comes down to. And in every society, they have to play this game as if whatever the power structure is, it's all for the best. It's all in the best interests of the little guy. They're doing it for the people. Yes, we the people. That's what we want. We want to have a country where you can't say $400. We the people, we wanted to have not come near the standard of living that our grandparents had as a birthright after Reaganomics. Yeah, that's us. We wanted that. We wanted to beg for a trickle. They do it to us slowly, and they play the game. It's called divide and conquer. What makes me sick is that they make it so easy. I mean, the dupes who vote Republican and cheer their own demise, their stupidity, which is intertwined with their racism. It's the same thing. They're stupid, so they're racist. So that is where they get them. The fissures of disunity, they get into the cracks and they divide and conquer. So I'm here to say, don't fall for it. Don't do it. You don't have to fall for it. How many times are you going to fall for the same old trick? Read a book. Get off Fox News. Get off Breitbart and read a book. Start with the history of Western civilization and go from there. And maybe you'll learn that the United States was born out of the liberal age of enlightenment, which didn't happen overnight either. And people went to jail for their radical writings and thinking that we don't need a king and an aristocracy. That was a radical notion. The United States was birthed in that mindset from the founders who were students of the liberal age of enlightenment. Yes, hypocrites, racists, yes, misogynists, of course. They were people of their time. But doesn't mean that we can't make a more perfect union by actualizing the promises in our founding documents that they entrusted to us. We have a duty. We have a duty to do that. Otherwise, we're done. Otherwise, it's over, guys. We are at that turning point. It's here. And maybe that's why I was born in this country. Who knows? Or you and I, to stop it, to fix it. Because it's challenging. Then the first step, like any first step, is waking up. Waking people up. Just like in recovery, wake up. This is unmanageable. What's working and what's not working? What's working in this country? What is working? Anybody know? Is anything really working here? I don't know. I can't think of something. What's working? Not a lot. I mean, it could be worse, yeah. But what we want to have, what kind of country we want to be, is that working? We certainly have a long way to go. It could be worse, yes. It could be Somalia, yes. It could be Russia, exactly. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, here's the video. Let's keep going a little bit.
Off the sidewalk. Stand up for us. Stand up for us. We outnumber you a 1,000,000 to 1 out here. Take the building. Take the building.
Look at this. Fuck these pigs.
That's enough. There's much more coming.
USA.
The Constitution says you have to protect our country, and you have to protect our Constitution, and you can't vote on fraud. And fraud breaks up everything, doesn't it? When you catch somebody in a fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules. You
should know about fraud, honey. Being a con man and all.
Mike has the courage to do what he has to do.
To do what?
We fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol.
Very strong.
We're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
Get the fuck out of here, you traitors!
Wow.
We're debating a step
It's unbelievable, but it's
that has never
completely
been taken
believable.
in American history.
Right. And strike and strike and strike and strike. Stephen Lee.
President Trump claims the election was stolen. The assertions range from specific local allegations to constitutional arguments to sweeping conspiracy theory.
USA, they're chanting. Look at these fuckers. Come on.
Colleagues, nothing
Put your fists up.
illegality anywhere near
Son of a bitch.
the massive scale that would have tipped the entire election.
Trump's mob breaches the two barriers and can now reach the doors of the Capitol. I'm just reading for the people on the podcast. Look at this. And some of this footage I hadn't seen before. It's horrifying. Look at that son of a bitch with the noose. Fight for Trump, they're chanting. Fuck you, police? I thought the Blue Lives Mattered. Could you imagine if this were Black Lives Matter? Let's play the game again. Imagine that was the Black Lives Matter, and any Black Lives Matter protest. You know what would happen? The Capitol would be covered in blood. You'd be up to your knees in blood. Oh, Trump would have unleashed the National Guard. There wouldn't be none of this, I love you, it was stolen, it's terrible, go home, we love you. That's only after the damage was done. We love you, you're beautiful, it was horrible what happened. Really? Yeah, democracy is horrible. You might actually have to work. You got to do things. You can't just say shit like, yeah, it's just going to disappear. Could you imagine if that son of a bitch won the election again despite receiving fewer votes? Oh my God. Let's go! That is terrifying.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side.
Oh, yeah?
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
Oh, we have to expect, right? Really? That's them respecting. That's them respecting our great law and order.
The House will be in order. Okay.
That's all we have to see is January 6th to know, yet again, the utter hypocrisy that is everything Republicans stand for. That's all they stand for. Hypocrisy is their beating heart, not bleeding heart. Fuck the blue. Now, if that were Black Lives Matter, okay, it's so unbelievable, is the wrong word. It's terrifying, but I'm playing it again just to drive home a little more, maybe as if we need it, but that they're not kidding around. We're not kidding around. I'm not kidding around. They are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about. I'm not just saying that. Look at it. We have the proof. I'm the one. I have not everybody. They won't say this on the corporate media. That maybe they dance around it. They are the domestic enemies. It took the corporate media a long time to start calling Trump what he is, an autocrat, a fascist, to start calling their MAGA movement what it is, a fascist movement, a danger to democracy. That hasn't changed. The Republican Party, in fact, it's even worse. It's gotten worse because they're not excising them and him from their party. They're entrenching them and him. And in fact, they're saying that the Democrats, during their argument, they're saying the Democrats are only doing this impeachment because they don't want Trump to run again. They want to disenfranchise 74 million Americans who voted for Trump. They don't want to give them a chance to vote for him again. They're disenfranchising the 74 million people by not allowing them to what? Have a riot? Not allowing the riot to usurp the democratic process? So we're disenfranchising them. And they were just expressing their freedom. You see, it's not Trump's fault. This is what I gathered their argument was. It's not Trump's fault that all of these bad apples, the thousands of bad apples, took to the streets and overthrew the Capitol and killed people. It's not that. It's not. They were just. It's not Trump's fault. He was just expressing his freedom of speech to lie, to spread the big lie. You know, when you have freedom of speech comes with the responsibility. You know, freedom isn't free. It doesn't mean you could say whatever the fuck you want to say. And I'm sorry for cursing, but it doesn't mean that you get to. I'm trying to think of what is another example. Yelling fire in a crowded theater. What can you say? Why don't you just tell the people a comet is coming and it's going to destroy Earth in 60 days. See what happens. Oh, well, they should know the difference. Why don't you just tell them? I mean, according to the Republicans, it's like they don't believe in reality. Some of them actually believe that COVID is a hoax because Twitter tells them it's a hoax. And look, now we have 450,000 Americans dead. So with great power, if Spider-Man knows it, why doesn't Twitter? With great power comes great responsibility. But not for the so-called president and all of his enablers. They're just out to destroy this country. And they will still have all their flag waving. Don't worry about it. They will have their flag waving, their flag humping. They will still chant USA, USA. Meanwhile, the country will be gone. It will be dead. That they will have destroyed democracy. That's why when they were arguing, the Trump's lawyer or whatever the hell it was, he was saying, something about the Roman Republic and the Greek Republic and now the American Republic. And I was like, yeah, you're the one destroying it. What are you talking about? The impeachment is like the Roman Republic being destroyed? No, it's in fact, in a lot of ways, it is like the Roman Republic being the end of the Roman Republic, but it was because the cynical, self-serving power structure, the senators who gave power to an autocrat. It sounds more like what the Republicans are up to. God, it really does.
There's a fucking million of us out there, and we are listening to Trump.
We're listening to Trump. There, yeah, he sends out a tweet, but the traitor Pence. Yeah, bitch, we're defending it against you. You're the enemies that the founders warned us about. We're defending the Constitution. I'm surprised you can read the Constitution. I'm sure you have never read it. Because you're too busy being a traitor. Being a dupe. A dupe of a con man. Defend your Constitution. Here's another reason why on the show, one of the things that I hope to see that we influence. I hope that we are successful in influencing, but taking back the mantle of patriotism. We must. They're not patriots. This is not patriotic. They are not the patriot. I'm sick of them. In general, I'm sick of them. The whole country's sick of them and from them. But we're the patriots. They're not patriots. They're anti-American. They're American terrorists. They've crossed the line. And anybody who is a Trump supporter still, and a Republican, you're going to vote for them? You're part of the problem. Wake up. You're not a patriot. Just like, I swear to God, I'm so sick of these right-wingers before they fully went full-on fascist, and they were just dancing around the edges and teetering on the edge, about to fall into fascism, with their, in bed with the KKK and white supremacists. And anybody that I knew who voted Republican during George Bush or whenever, I would say, you're in bed. I don't care what you say, what your excuse is, what you tell yourself why you're voting for the anti-American party, but you're in bed with the KKK. You're voting with David Duke and the KKK. So that says everything you need to know. Oh, I'm not racist. Well, yes, you are. You're a racist. I don't care what you say to yourself. If you're voting for a candidate and a party that is endorsed by the KKK, you must, I'm asking you, I'm telling you, for your own sake, take a minute and ask yourself why. Why is the KKK endorsing these Republican candidates? What do they get out of the Republican Party? What's their agenda? Why are you in league with the KKK? So don't tell me, at least admit it. Don't tell me you're not a racist. Yes, you are. A racist is what a racist does. And if you want to know somebody, know them by their friend. You know them by the company they keep. If you're in league with racists, terrorists, anti-Americans, incels, freaks, Proud Boys, morons, anti-science, anti-life, anti-human, racists, geeks, greed-centered ghouls, ghosts of the Gilded Age, morons, then that's what you are. That's you. You. If you are voting with them, that's who you are. You should be ashamed. Get some shame, please. Look at who you are. Look at you. Everything the Republicans do is an embarrassment. Look at their stupid lawyers. What? Everything they do, they can't live up to. They don't measure up. They're not fit. They're not capable. You want somebody, you want a lawyer, you got to get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing and it isn't somebody who will sell themselves out. Oh, it's so good good for the guy who has to touch his head when he drinks water. God must be really impressed with you. They make me sick. But how impressed is he with you running cover for a con man who commits crimes against humanity, who's a liar, who's tearing this country apart based on the big lie. And we can go on about all of his crimes against humanity, against the environment, against animals. That's another thing I can't stand about the Republicans. Not only are the KKK endorsed, but they hate animals. I'm sure Republicans tell themselves, oh, they love animals. They love their dogs. Of course, they eat animals like they can't get enough corpses. We know that, and they don't give a shit how they're treated, and that's the bottom line. So everything the Republicans do when it comes to animal welfare and the environment, if it causes suffering, if it can make somebody a buck, I mean, these pricks don't give a shit who suffers, especially animals. What they do, we know what they did with the slaughter lines, taking off all the inspectors off the line, and allowing shit into the food supply. So that's how much Republicans love the American people and the dupes who vote for them. They literally want you to eat shit. They're literally feeding you shit. But that's who, you don't do that to people you love. You don't say, okay, they can eat some shit. But that's what Republicans do, because it's makes somebody another buck or two. Who cares if you get sick and can't digest and whatever? They don't care. If you die, you have gastrointestinal problems because you've actually ingested something that you can't digest, and you don't know. You thought it came from I don't know, whatever. You don't know. You probably ate a pig's intestines, a pig's penis, and you didn't realize, because that's what they allowed into the food supply. All kinds of crap that human beings can't digest, including toenails, pig genitals, feces. Look it up. That's who they are. And they took all of the inspectors off of the slaughter line and sped the slaughter lines up. So not only do the people suffer, the animals suffer. So it's a wonderful world that Republicans create. Nothing but greed and indifference. As long as, I don't know how, I mean, really, do you like that world that they create? There's no compassion. That's it. The bottom line is greed. And I know some Republicans, I do. I'm sure we all do, right? They probably consider themselves good people and who love animals, some of them. Some of them consider themselves animal advocates, I imagine. Oh, yeah, I love my dog. I love my cat. But do you give a shit that Republicans roll back any humane policy that gives the poor creatures who suffer in factory farms some reprieve, so that their short lives, that they are giving their lives, their very lives, for human sustenance, and Republicans couldn't give a shit to treat them with any dignity or respect that they deserve. Shove the chickens in there so tightly they can't raise their wings. In other countries, this is illegal. We used to have standards, but Republicans rolled them back. Put as many chickens in there as you want. Who cares if the chickens suffer? They're not calling anybody up to complain. Same thing with the pigs. In other countries, these gestation crates are illegal. Yeah, where a pig who's smarter than a dog, pigs are intelligent creatures, so they go insane. That when they're put in these gestation crates where they're just impregnated again and again and again, it's disgusting. And they can't move. That's where they live their lives. How vile is that? It makes me want to cry, because it says everything about us. And people who eat animals, they should actually care. because we should really care about what we're doing to the earth and to other creatures, and to have treat creatures with dignity and respect, especially those that are giving their lives. And you know my opinion. It's not in my lifetime, but in the future, I believe that human beings will not be eating animals. But we're a long way off from there, especially with these Republicans. They're that's who they are. They're disgusting. Not giving a shit about anybody else but themselves, especially creatures that can't speak up. That's their birthright. It makes them. They think that's strong, to not give a crap about creatures who are suffering, when it is the weakest. They are weak. It's actually strong to care. What? Stop the steal! Unreal.
They're leaving. They're leaving. They're leaving.
Break it down.
I know your pain. I know we can't play into the hands of these people.
These people.
We have to have peace. So go
What
home.
people? The people that are functioning in democracy?
You've seen what happens.
Very
You see
special.
the way others are treated that are.
This is the other thing. Here we go again. The whining. You see the way others are treated? Everybody's picking on us. They won't let us overrun the Capitol and stop the legal vote counting. You see how mean they are? How they get away with it, and we got to fight. But I love you. Everybody is treating us wrong. Poor baby. Poor baby. If only you could function in democracy, you could get out there and state your case. But, well, whatever. State their case. Lies. Nothing but lies. And that's why it's like, this is the Republican argument. Excuse me. They have to, we're supposed to decipher what's true and what's false. They could just say whatever they want, and we're supposed to go in our life, when we're working our 3 uniquely American low-paying jobs to never retire or go to a doctor, we're supposed to decipher whether the so-called president of the United States is saying something that is true or not. Oh, I trust the American people. Well, these are Americans. We're Americans. They're the cons. But I trust the American people to think for themselves. This is what they're saying. It's, well, think for yourself. I trust them to know the truth. To know the difference between the truth and a lie. How could you know? If somebody's telling you a lie, how do you just know? I mean, I know Trump is a con man, so if he told me the sun rose in the east and set in the west, I would have to check. But the American people, you don't know. You can't check everything. That's why when he says that it's there's duffel bags of votes and lies, and everybody's voting, and it's illegal, just like he said in 2016, how he would have won the popular vote if not for all the illegals. These effing people believe it. And the Republican Party, they if they wanted to, they could break the freaks from the cult. And during the impeachment trial today, the dumbass Republican lawyers were complaining that, and now they're saying that they have to deprogram us. So now that in itself is being picked on. That's the Democrats picking on you. See what I mean? They're not anywhere near trying to work across the aisle or have a functioning society that works for all. They're not anywhere near waking up. They're not hitting bottom. They haven't hit bottom. They're still in denial, whether it's purposefully or deliberately, or just they're doing it cynically because they are covering their own asses. You know what I mean. But it's that's the problem. They are. That is why they are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about. They're not waking up. They don't want to wake up. They're not saying, yes, that we almost died. In fact, people did die. People were mutilated. But yes, it is a cult. They understand it's a cult that's been lied to. But now they're whining about that. They're whining that they're being picked on. Oh, the Democrats are saying we're a cult now. And here I go again. Secede. Break this country up. Have we had enough yet? How is it going to be fixed? I know how to fix it. Everybody in, nobody out. But how long is it going to take? You know what's going to happen. They're going to do it again. And again. And again. Just like Hitler. Hitler he went to jail. He was barred from speaking and running for office for 10 years. So, and the Republicans, they don't want to even do that. There will be no accountability for their autocrat, for their Twitler. There will be no accountability. There'll be no justice. They're not going to bar him from running for office. Because the message is, I'm being picked on. You're picking on us and you're disenfranchising us with good reason. You need to be disenfranchised. Twitler, they need to be broken out of their stupor. But the Republicans aren't doing it. They don't want to do it. They are taking the other stance. Only one of the Republicans, after watching that debacle today on the Republican side, had the integrity to vote the way anybody would vote. But it was in the bag already for the rest of them. The rest of the ghouls and the ghosts of the Gilded Age who are lickspittles to the con man. Like in the Roman Republic. That went along with Augustus, well, before he was Augustus, when he was only just Octavian, who was putting their enemies on a prescription list. And that's what the Republicans are afraid of. Their Twitler will put them on a proverbial prescription list, and maybe a real one. We'll get to that point. And their political careers will be over. Because they won't have their base of KKK white supremacists and incels and Proud Boys and small dick energy to prop them up. They could, though, if they wanted they could wake them up. They could tell their constituents, even that base, or whatever the hell, not base, even the dumbasses in Pennsylvania that voted for Trump 70% or whatever it was. The ones who were saying, it's ridiculous. It's the fix is in. You can't impeach him. All of the things that the Republicans, all of the excuses. You can't impeach him. He's already out of office. You couldn't impeach him before when he was in office, but now you can impeach him because he's out of office. They don't know their ass from their elbow in the Constitution. So they could, if the Republicans really wanted to, they could get their party back. They could get rid of Trump, and they could tell their constituents, he's a liar. He's lying to you. If they all did it in unison and they did it in unity, I'm sure the Matt Gaetzes of the world wouldn't join, but he could be marginalized. And the Marjorie Taylor Greens, they could tell them, no, he's a liar. He never did anything for you. But the fact is, the Republican leadership, they like what Trump is doing because he is destroying democracy. He is entrenching oligarchy, and that is their ultimate goal. It doesn't matter who dies, because they don't care. They haven't cared who dies in this country their entire life. When George Bush was in office, they were sending us to die for illegal wars based on lies, and on and on. They were lying, dividing and conquering us then, along every racial line, everything that they're still doing, except it's even worse. Because now, I mean, we're in the home stretch of the end of the American experiment.
You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil.
So bad.
I know how you feel.
So evil. Oh, isn't
But
this...
go home and go home in peace.
Yeah, oh, well, he tried. Well, then I could see why Breitbart is whining that the Democrats left out that one tweet where he said, go home in peace. He really tried. He didn't want the Capitol riot. He didn't want that. Oh, I can see the point. How stupid do they think we are? They do forget that the majority of Americans are not as stupid as the idiots who vote for Trump. And this is why I wake up with a knot in my stomach all the time, living in this country, thinking about the people I have to share the same air with, the same country with, the same morons. These morons still think that Twitler was elected. The election was stolen. It's not going to end. So what do? How do you fix it? You can't talk to them reasonably. There is no reasoning with them at all. You can't appeal to their humanity. They don't have it. They have no humanity. You can't appeal to their patriotism. They don't have any patriotism. You can't appeal to their sense of honor. They are deplorable. You can't talk to them about the truth. You can't show them what's going on. You cannot show them that they're dupes because they don't believe it. Ultimately, it's because they are racist. They don't want to believe that you could tell them that Twitler's tax, the only thing he did was this tax scam that funneled more money to the top. You can explain the history of Western civilization to them. They won't believe it. You can explain the liberal age of enlightenment. They will put their fingers in their ears and chant USA, USA. You can tell them that you can point out their racist attitudes and the racism lets the con man get in there, and they just won't. There is no changing them. That's what it means for them. That's what it means to be an American, to never change, to be disgusting, to be a hypocrite and never change. So thank you again, JD, for another super chat. Projects, what is this? Oh, projects, ProPublica.org, Parla Capital videos. I gotta go through these. It says page not found. Let me see. I'll have to look into this. And thank you, Slow Tree, for another super chat. Slow Tree, Covert, White Rabbit, Let's Support Tara. Thank you, Slow Tree, for your super chat in euros. We got pounds and euros going on the super chat. And I want to thank tonight's sponsor, the person who joined the our Patreon page, M. David Sorabi. Thank you so much for taking the leap to become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevlin. I love it. You're going to keep us going and growing. And everybody, here's Tara Jr. Tara, look. Junior. Say hello. I love this cat. I know my shirt is all covered in hair, but hey, that's Tarabuster for you. Where's these? Here. Let's look at some of the argument today. Where is it? Safari, right. This guy. So sickening. Always, these holy rollers,
Anybody
right?
that stands right, stand with him when he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. In both cases, you are right.
Oh,
Cases,
he read a poem. Another thing he did, this is another thing, because, hold on a second.
Ms. Baldwin.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to get
reached
to...
the Senate
against the people at any
So,
point.
Representative Raskin
office.
did such a great job. He really did. He really was honest, sincere. He was informed. He laid out the case clearly, succinctly, and you connected with him, especially when he described the feeling of, it was the day after his son, which is horrible. His son committed suicide. I can't even imagine the pain that he's in. What a horrible, and I was thinking about that, how terrible that is. You bring a baby into the world, you love your child, you protect your child, you love him, he grows up and he's in so much pain that he takes his own life. And I know people who have committed suicide in my own life, and it's horrible. It's the worst. So if anyone feels that way, please don't do it. Get help. Reach out. This too shall pass, and you leave behind so much more pain. And I know that, all I've known is that people who try to commit suicide, usually they if they survive, they say that they're glad that they survived. So, but Representative Raskin, I can't imagine that pain. So the day after they bury their young son who took his own life, he's at the Capitol, and he's there with his daughter and his daughter's husband, because the daughter said that they needed to be together as a family because they were grieving. And Representative Raskin, at the end of his presentation, he's saying, he told a story how his daughter said, he said, next time you come here, and she said, I don't want to come here anymore. I never want to go to the Capitol again. And it upset him, and he choked up when he was talking about it. And he was sincere, as you can tell. But of course, the Republican, the liar, the Republicans can only, like Twitler, he can only mimic, like some kind of devolved creature. They can only mimic human emotion. And it's not a coincidence that this Republican lawyer, Here's what he said. Oh, here we go. I got it. He's like, he's trying to jump on the empathy bandwagon. You know he's full of crap. Let's see here. He says he wanted to cry.
It is an honor to appear in this historic hall of democracy, yet today, that honor is tempered by an overriding feeling of grave concern. Grave concern for the danger to the institution of the presidency that I believe even convening these proceedings indicates.
Unreal.
The joy I believed I would feel if I ever had the great privilege of appearing before this body is replaced by sadness and pain.
Bullshit.
My overriding emotion is frankly wanting to cry.
Bullshit. I smell bullshit here. You don't want to cry. Your overwhelming feeling is wanting to cry. You only want to cry because you saw Representative Raskin having the courage to share his pain with the country, and everybody knew he was sincere. Do you get the impression this guy wants to cry? So we're going to go, oh yeah, Republicans, they're human too. You see, it's both sides again. Representative Raskin, he wants to cry. Well, I'll see you're crying over the grieving of your son and your daughter's pain concerning her almost being killed by an unhinged fascist mob unleashed by the big lie of the con man you're there to protect. I'll see that, and I'll raise you my overwhelming feeling of wanting to cry about us holding the con man accountable. Oh, I can see. It's the same. Both sides. See, Democrats can cry, and look, it's true. Republicans can claim to want to cry too.
My overriding emotion is frankly wanting to cry for what I believe these proceedings will do to our great, so long enduring, sacred Constitution and to the American people
not that long enduring
on both sides of the great divide that now characterizes our nation. Esteemed members of the Senate, going forward with this impeachment trial of a former president of the United States is unconstitutional for reasons we have set out in our brief. It is an proceedings will do to our great nation is frankly wanting to cry.
You don't want to cry. Who you bullshitting? Frankly, I want to cry. No, you don't. It's like Trump saying that he wants to cry. You don't want to cry. Oh my God, they're so transparent and tedious. You don't want to cry. They don't want to cry. He just wants to. He wants us to think that they can cry. That's it. Look, they're just like us. See, they feel human emotion, and like Jerry Raskin wanted to cry, they want to cry. It makes them want to cry when a con man gets justice. If the con man comes an inch from justice, they want to cry. Cry. They don't want to cry. Here, hold on. The cat wants to go down. Here you go, honey. You sit there. You sit there, little one. Oh, he's cranky. He's a crank. I know. You look at him. Just look at him for a second. Here, honey. Oh, he walked away. Now he's coming back. Now you want to come back? You just jumped down. Make up your mind. Look at him. Look at him. I love him. I love you. Uh-oh. Look at this. Let me get this. Now I gotta do this. Now I want to cry. Look at you. You're covered in hair. I want to cry. I need to get rid of all the hair. It's not a game. What are you doing? You like the roller? Look at this. This is everywhere. Looks... What kind of show is this when you're covered in hair? It's an occupational hazard. Tara Jr. It's worth it. You're worth it. You like this? This is not a toy. Don't. Be careful. Be careful. How's that? Better? It doesn't matter. He's such a good boy. You're getting a little glimpse into the rest. So we're on the air for, we're on the air for 3 hours, and this is the other 21 hours where I'm like, you're so good. How are you so good? How'd you get so good? What's your secret? Can you let me in on it? Let Republicans in on it. How did you get so good? All right, stop, Tara Jr. I mean, Tara Sr. Yes, he's a good boy. All right, so ridiculous. There's a couple of other things. Oh, my God, I see some super chats. Hello, Covert White Rabbit. I back anyone dropping truth bombs. Yep. Richard W. says, Tara, name a show, Cat on My Keyboard. Exactly. Hey, we do it anyway, right? Look at him now. He's now, like, rubbing his face on the keyboard. Robyn M., thank you for your super chat. And Stephen Lee, thank you for your super chat. A Republican, does not know his butt from a hole in the ground. Oh, yeah. That's the truth. Here's another thing. A couple of other things. Okay, we can go on about the impeachment. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be more disgusting things happening. It just never stops. There's so many ways I can go now, but because in the interest of time, let's see. Oh, okay. I have the music on so I can keep track. Trying to keep it down to, like, you know what? Because you know what happens after this show? So when, like, last night we did the show and I didn't get off the air until 11:30, and then I have to prep the show to upload it to SoundCloud so it goes on to Apple and all that. So that takes some time, and I end up, like, not getting to sleep until, like, 2:00 in the morning, and it's not good because I always wake up early. You know how it is. And I don't sleep late. I try not to sleep late because it makes me depressed. And because it reminds me of when I was using drugs, and I never sleep late. And I mean, for years, decades now. So if the only time I sleep late is if I'm sick or something and I have to sleep late and I need more sleep, right? But then I don't get a lot of sleep and I just don't feel good. And I'm just sharing. That's really what it is. So I'm trying to make the shows sort of around the same time, 2 to 3 hours, reasonable time. And then I can get to bed at a reasonable time. Yes, be careful. You hit your head, honey. He just hit his head on the microphone. And then we can have a show tomorrow. And tomorrow, and the day after that. I want to do a show every day, and that's what is needed, really. You know that. And anybody who's listening on the podcast, you hear the noise, that's the cat rubbing his face on the microphone. Please forgive me. I'm sure it's like, what is that? What is that noise? There's a couple of ways I can go. So right before we went on air, I saw something that made me sick. And I thought I'd talk about that. Because in the same vein as, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the lawyer. Their names are escaping me. One is Schoen, I think. What's the guy's name? Trump's lawyers. That's the cat again. Rubbing on the mic. What is his name? Trump's lawyers. Wait. Let's see. One is called Yes, honey. I hear you. Oh my God. What's the guy's name? Oh, David Schoen and Bill Castor. That's their name. So David Schoen's the one who had to touch his head every time he drank because he's praying to God. I don't understand. I mean, that's the Republicans. It doesn't... they know nothing about the substance. It makes no sense to me. If somebody's so religious that they have to touch their head when they drink, first of all, what kind of God really cares? Right? Don't you? If there is an all-seeing God who knows everything and loves you and wants you to be a decent person, do you really think he cares if you're touching your head when you drink water? I don't see what's the point. But if that's the case, if you want to drink water and touch your head, and that reminds you of to pray, that's fine. You want to pray to your sky spook and say, good for you, God, I'm here. What are you doing? You're making the world a better place? So it doesn't matter what crimes you're enabling, what hell you're unleashing on the country, as long as you touch your head and drink water and say a prayer. It's all the outward expressions of this faux religiosity. Because all over Twitter, people are like, what is he doing? He's touching his head every time he drinks his water. And then other people were saying, well, I'm Jewish and I'm an Orthodox Jew, and I've never seen that before, but whatever. So, and then other people were saying, don't mock it because you're mocking somebody's religion, and I'm not mocking his religion. I'm mocking his hypocrisy. If that's the extent of your religion is shite. If that's your whole spirituality is touching your head when you drink water, but it doesn't matter what kind of crimes against humanity and decency and dignity and democracy you're enabling. It doesn't matter that you're up there and lying your ass off, causing more confusion, causing more dissension. More of this, more of a chasm between the truth and whatever, and any kind of hope. Let me see. Hold on. Trump's lawyers. Hold on a second. Apparently, Trump is enraged by their defense. But Trump lawyer, they have, well, let me see. There was another, because I didn't want to talk about this, but there was these two, they are certainly, they're not decent people. They have a history of being not bad lawyers, but bad people, defending bad people. Bad lawyer, let's see, Trump lawyers, history, cases. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. I had it somewhere. You know how it is. I can't find these articles. But I wasn't going to talk about that anyway. What I wanted to talk about is just like the guy touching his head every time he has to drink water, and that's supposed to be religion somehow. That's spirituality. He's showing us how what a good person he is. I mean, think about that. That's the best you got. Why don't you show us you're a good person by not running cover for a con man, a tax cheating, draft dodging, dictator envying con man, by not helping the con man tear the country apart and spread the big lie. How about you do that? You could show us you're a good person by that, not just touching your head. This is ridiculous. That's why this country is in big trouble. That's religion? And it's also why we need a solid wall of separation between church and state. No offense, if that's your religion, you want to, well, I guess I don't care, offense or not, touch your head and drink water, that's your religion, you need to get a new religion. Just try being a good person. Try not being a traitor. How's that? Start there. When a tax-cheating, draft-dodging, wannabe dictator who received fewer votes, one with a history of sexual assault, a history of pathological lying, whose lies helped kill 450,000 Americans and counting, and sicken others. Now, we haven't even gotten to the end of what's going to happen with the sickness. If you have COVID, what that means for health in the future, how that's going to foment down the road. It could be all kinds of problems down the road, just even though you got COVID and you got over it, thankfully. It's in your body, and there's stuff coming out about how it's affecting different organs. So it's not a good thing to get COVID. So if you're so religious that you got to touch your head, maybe you might think it's not a good thing to lie to other human beings about a deadly pandemic that's going to bite them in the ass for the rest of their lives. Right? I don't know. It pissed me off, frankly. I don't have respect for it. People are like, oh, you have to respect their religion. I don't respect that. That's your religion. If that's your religion, that's all you got. Oh, touching his head while drinking water, while defending an abomination, and an entire party of abominations, who are spreading abominable lies, hate, who helped murder people and just don't care. The hypocrisy is disgusting. All of it. Touch your head. Oh, good for you. He touches his head. Don't you feel the love of the great beyond, of the sky spook? Don't you feel it? When somebody is truly spiritual, they work to make the world a better place. I don't see how touching your head and drinking water makes the world a better place, especially when you're doing the work for a con man. Lying, also spreading your bullshit, all this bills of attainder shit. Impeachment is not a bill of attainder. A bill of attainder is laws. You know, it's in the Constitution. This is what used to happen in Western civilization. The king didn't like you. They could write laws specifically for one person, to target one person or a group of people. So we don't have that here, because we learned through the thousands of years of oppression of the monarchy and the aristocracy that that's not how you make a more perfect union. But impeachment is not a bill of attainder. But these people, they want to sound like they know what they're doing, just like they want to look religious by touching their heads when they're drinking water, while not doing anything that makes the world a better place. What is the point of your religion? When you're a grifter, you are a grifter, and that is a grift. That's a grift, to get up there and do that. And I'm so religious, I don't care. I'm going to touch my head and drink water, and whether it confuses everybody who watches me, it's on them. But I'm going to practice my religion, which requires me to touch my head and drink a glass of water at the same time. Because my sky spook, that's what my sky spook wants. He doesn't want me to be a decent person to spread truth and make the world a better place. He wants me to touch my head while I drink water and do the heavy lifting for a con man to spread the con man's lies, to let the con man get out scot-free again so he can finish the job once and for all. And what's that job? Destroying democracy. Oh, yeah, everybody else. It's everybody picking on him. It's not the con man himself. Nothing happened here. He didn't do anything. Everybody else just decided one day on January 6th to go to Washington, D.C. and storm the Capitol. Based on nothing. Based on nothing, he said. So, whatever, I didn't mean to go off on that, but this, right before we went on air, where is it? I'll find it. Tweets, Matt Gaetz and Marco Rubio, in keeping with the Republican way, of outward expressions, outward shows of religion, and which mean nothing, like the way Trump humps a flag and calls that patriotism. Right before we went on air, it's very confusing. Here, I'll show you. Marco Rubio tweeted. Wait, that's not it. Here. God created mankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Genesis 1:27. Yeah? Okay. Good. Of course, I wrote back, you're wrong, little Marco. Athena sprang fully formed from the head of Zeus. It is written. What's your point, Marco? So, another example of why we need to keep religion out of our government, because that's complete bullshit. God created mankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. What's your point? Shut up. Go pray in the closet. Unreal. And Lisa Ann Walter tweeted back, wait, how could God create a man and a woman in his image? What are you saying, Marco? Eve was a drag queen? Oh my God. Eve came from Adam's rib. Therefore, she was originally a man. Therefore, she was a transitioned trans male, I guess. And Marco Rubio, he created a politician who can Google Bible verses and can do the authoritative talking for him now that his master is gone. These are people's tweets. Quoting scripture in government that is supposed to separate a church from state is just another example of bad Republican judgment. In any other country, in England, that would be, because see, in England they don't have a wall of separation between church and state. They have a history. It goes back thousands of years. They understand the danger of government intertwined with religion. So a politician doesn't go around, they don't have to go around saying, God bless England, God bless, they don't have to stop or end every speech with God bless this, God bless that. They don't tweet Bible verses. If they did, that would be the kiss of death for their political careers, because people are like, keep your filthy religion out of our government. We know what it's like to have a government that dictates what your religion should be. That's why the founders, when they fought a revolution and rebelled from away from the intergenerational aristocracy and the monarchy, they they made the First Amendment, make no laws surrounding religion, because through in England for thousands of years, the king told you what you would be. Just look at the whole history of the Tudors and the Protestant Reformation, and how many people died and were burned at the stake as heretics. And then another king or queen would come in, and then there would be all kinds of other wars and people burning at the stake for to worship a certain way, and a certain god, a certain type. God created mankind in his image, in the image of God. It's so sickening. And what is your point, Marco? Is that all you got? This is what he's doing. You understand? There's nothing else going on. He can't get out there and tweet, my former boss, Twitler, is a con man. And just like God created man and woman in the image of male and female, he created them. You stupid, you tedious, faux religious monster. Why don't you get out there and say, because I'm such a religious, I'm such a holy roller, me, Marco Rubio, I'm here to confess. Remember when I said Donald Trump is a con man, a grifter, and if he becomes the standard bearer of the Republican Party, he will destroy the party and we will deserve it? I was right back then. And now I'm coming forward again to proclaim the truth, because I'm tired of this grifter, this fascist wannabe dictator trying to overthrow democracy. And as a good American and a Christian, I see that my duty is to the higher good here, not to one filthy freak. Unreal. Oh, God. Here, he's such a monster. And then another thing on Twitter, before the last thing, it falls in line with all this, the outward displays of religion, of patriotism, when they have no substance. See, they have to cling to the outward displays, all the symbols of religion, the symbols of patriotism, because the substance is way over their heads. Matt Gaetz, another one. Here, I don't know if you saw this. This is from the 6th. Let's see. I gotta get... Look at Tara Jr., by the way. He's behind me. All right, where is it? Matt Gaetz, another, a real winner. This week, Democrats mocked Republicans because we wanted to say the Pledge of Allegiance. It takes 15 seconds to say it. Our country desperately needs to see how Republicans and Democrats can come together over something. But Democrats refuse to unify even over our pledge. See, that's how much the bitch. I mean, I'm trying to think of a word. What is he? I mean, Matt Gaetz is Twitler's bitch. There's no getting around it. And I guess that's a misogynist statement, but what's the... Well, I guess I could say he's his poodle. So, Matt Gaetz apparently proposed that they say the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Democrats were like, get out of here. And then they got caught on a hot mic, because they know that Matt Gaetz is doing what he does. He's making these faux outward displays of bullshit patriotism because he doesn't have an interest in actual patriotism. He's not a patriot. He is an antagonist against patriotism. He hates actual patriots. See, patriots don't have to pledge allegiance every day. So here's he went on Fox News. He went running and whining to Fox News like a baby with a full diaper to say, Democrats don't want to say the pledge because forced pledges of allegiances. That sounds like freedom to me, doesn't it? Sort of like the Republicans, like forced displays of patriotism, like in North Korea, false flag salute or forced flag salutes. That's who Republicans are. They want us to worship the dim Führer, to pledge allegiance to the flag on command, when they don't have a interest in what it actually means to be a patriot. Do patriots lie to their fellow Americans about a deadly pandemic that's going to kill them? Do patriots cut their fellow Americans off at the knees when they need assistance to get through the deadly pandemic because it's going to help them politically? To ensure that the Democrats can't do anything for their fellow Americans. So the Republicans do everything that they can to do nothing. Do patriots lie to their fellow Americans and say that the con man, the one who's lying to them, the one who received fewer votes in 2016 and is lying to them about the deadly pandemic and did nothing but squat in the White House demanding Diet Cokes and funneling more money into arms of people who will never spend it, rolling back regulations. That's what I hear these average Joe dupes. Oh, he rolled back regulations. Really? To allow you to eat shit. That's what he did. Rolling back regulations. Yeah, he rolled back that regulation that said no shit in the food supply. You know, when pigs are slaughtered, or an animal sees death coming, they kind of, like human beings, they shit themselves. But Republicans, Trump signed an executive order to allow shit into the food supply. Yum, yum, eat 'em up. That's what a patriot does, right? A patriot says, the American people, you know what I think in this country that is the least upwardly mobile with the widest income gap of all of our Western partners? You know what this country needs right now? More shit in the food supply. More corpses, more pig corpses, fast as you can, make them into corpses, and don't worry if they shit themselves. A little shit doesn't hurt. I mean, it does, but we won't be eating it because Marco Rubio, he doesn't eat that. I mean, maybe he does, but he's Marco. But so I don't know how they recorded. They got my Democrats on a hot mic saying, "Yeah, okay. We're gonna keep saluting the flag, so to appease Matt Gaetz."
I wake up in the morning and I pledge allegiance to the flag. I go outside regardless of the weather, where I've got my flag up by my house, and I pledge allegiance, and then I get on my knees and I pray. If I do that, am I supposed to do it again? And how many times a day should I do that?
I think you should do it at least every hour.
They're being facetious, but to me, it sounds like normal people talking, saying, "How many times? What's appropriate?" They don't. Of course, Republicans, they talk about the slippery slope, right, of actually having the person who received the most votes become the president. That's a slippery slope. The slippery slope of democracy truly breaking out. You know, when you allow more people to vote, you make it easier for people to vote. Oh, that's something that they can't abide. That's actual patriotism. What they want to replace patriotism with are outward displays of patriotism. Just like in North Korea. It's not you're not seeing things. This is happening. And on Fox News, they're complaining about, oh, well, the Democrats don't want to, they're mocking us for wanting to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, of course they are. And good. I'm glad they are. I'm glad they're not like just going along with you to shut you up and appease you and say, oh, please, let's go along with another Republican bad idea that isn't freedom. Mandatory pledges and mandatory flag salutes. That's not freedom, Marco. That's not patriotism. That's not America. Mandatory flag salute? How many flag salutes do you need, Marco? How many humps, how many flags can you hump? These people they make me sick. And worse than that, they make the country sick. They really do. This is sick. It's not freedom. You're not a patriot. You know what makes you a patriot? When you don't lie to your fellow Americans about a deadly pandemic. When you give a shit. When 450,000 Americans are dead in less than 6 months. You say, I was wrong. I followed the con man. Wear a mask. I'm going to do whatever I can to ensure that people have everything they need to get through this pandemic alive. That's what makes you a patriot. I'm not going to waste time with mandatory flag salutes, and then when it's rejected by the actual patriots who say, we have the work of patriotism to do. Not the symbols. We have the substance on our plate. So we're not going to waste time. How many flag salutes? How many pledges of allegiance do you want, Marco? Sorry, we're actually working on patriotism. Patriotism is an action. I know you're confused because you think that being a patriot is being an unquestioning lickspittle to a tax-cheating, draft-dodging, wannabe dictator con man. So that's not patriotism. In fact, that's the antithesis of patriotism. That's called being a traitor. I don't care how many times you salute the flag. You can jerk off into the flag. You're not a patriot. You're a traitor.
I remember the first grade, we had something like this.
I remember too. I remember on Fridays at 10 o'clock, we ducked below our desks because of the nuclear bomb.
Right.
Congressman Gaetz, your reaction.
They're appalled.
You wrote a book about being a military brat and about what patriotism means to the people who have to sacrifice the most. And so,
hey, bitch, I wore the uniform. What patriotism means to me is you stop killing our fellow Americans. Stop dividing and conquering. Stop being a fascist lickspittle to a con man. That's patriotism. And in the military, yeah, we get up in the morning. You do reverie and retreat in the evening. But that's a different circumstance. We're not living in North Korea. If I would be impressed, Marco, if you ever did anything that spoke to or gave an example of you actually knowing what it means to be a patriotism. I mean, to be a patriot, not be know what patriotism means. You don't. That's why you cling to the symbols, because you hate America. You're confused by America. That's it. You are confused by America. You think that patriotism is saluting the flag. That's not patriotism. Patriotism, saluting the flag, does not stop a deadly pandemic. It doesn't prevent a con man from overthrowing a legally elected government. It doesn't help stop the spread of a big lie. much less the deadly pandemic that you don't seem to have a problem with. You just, you just want to show, you want to whine again and pretend that Democrats aren't patriots when they are. They're the patriots. They're trying to snap you out of your stupor and say, listen, you fascist lick spittle, saluting the flag. We got work to do. We salute. We have prayers here before we get to work. We do the pledge. How many times do you want us to pledge? We're doing the work of America. We're trying to leave no one behind. We're trying to fix all of the problems, all of the disaster, the garbage that Republicans left for us. And you're worried about everybody doing mandatory pledges at certain times. You sick little lickspittle. You're not a patriot. Oh, you're a military. They always got to bring up the military. All they care about the military is, did they care about the Capitol Police? Do you care about the military when Twitler is removing funding from the military for military schools and whatnot so he can build a fake border wall? Not even build a fence, a shitty fence that blew over. So we can address fake emergencies. You can declare fake emergencies. You can declare national emergencies when it comes to fake shit that you think will tickle the racist funny bones of your easily led base, your racist ass base, but you won't do a goddamn thing to address the actual problems we face, including a deadly pandemic. So. And also, it's not just the pandemic, the big lie. You want us to salute the flag while you're spreading the big lie? That the election was stolen, that your con man, your con man, the world hates your con man as much as they hate you. You're a lickspittle of a con man. And if history recalls you at all, it will be with revision. The future generations are going to revile the Republican Party. You mark my words. Future generations and historians in the future, they will look back at this time, and the Republicans, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, the Matt Gaetzes of the Marco Rubios, they're not going to come out looking good. Trust me. Yeah, Marco Rubio, that's why they're so confused what it means to be an American patriot. They are certainly a patriot. I mean, they're certainly, they know what it means to be a fascist. Yes. That's it. They have that fascism shit down. Mandatory flag salutes. I remember a story about Nazi Germany. When the Nazis were marching down the street, I don't know where I read it or saw it somewhere in a documentary, where a man said, as the fascists were coming to power, they were constantly had parades and flag rallies and all kinds of flags waving everywhere. And they were marching down the street one day, and people just stopped and watched as this group of Nazis marched by, and one of the Nazis walked off the line out of the formation and went over to a man and smacked him across the face and said, "Salute the flag." So that's Matt Gaetz. And what's the difference between today's Republican Party and the Nazis? It's nothing but time and environment and opportunity. That's it. They're the same. If this were 1935 Germany, you know what they would be doing. Oh, yeah. Yes, they would.
About being a military brat and about what patriotism means to the people who have to sacrifice the most. And so it is disheartening to hear
What do you know about sacrifice? The other thing that annoys me too is this whole veneration of everybody in uniform. That's another fascist tactic too. There are jerk-offs in uniform. Human beings wear those uniforms. So that's why we have to hold people who wear the uniform to higher standards. Because they are the ambassadors. They have to understand, which, I mean, when I was in the military, of course, you know that. I mean, one of the things you could say, they constantly had trainings on racism, against racism, and being a white supremacist, being a racist, is a bar to entry. Being a member of the KKK, when you join the military, they go over your body like a. They note down every mark on your body, every tattoo. You can't get in there with a tattoo with a Nazi tattoo. That's a bar to entry. Because we don't want fascists. We don't want the country turning fascist. At least we didn't at one time. And that's when these rules were made. But, so there he goes again with the faux patriotism, faux veneration of the military. In a democracy, there are so many other people that we should say thank you for your service. Please. Not just people who wear the uniform. But that's the Republicans. In every Republican chest beats the heart of fascism. That's it. That's really the bottom line. They're so tediously annoying, boring, and typical when they're talking about patriotism, when they have absolutely no clue what patriotism means. Patriotism is an action, just like love is an action. Patriotism is an action. And they're not patriots. A party that lies to your face about a deadly pandemic is not a patriotic party. That's a party that hates this country and hates you, hates the American people. A party that gives a con man a pass when it comes to overthrowing a legally elected government. That's not a patriotic party. This guy, this Matt Gaetz moron, this generic-looking man, I don't know what he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the closet, frankly, myself. He gives me that vibe. But that's a different story. He's trying too hard.
Colleagues mocking and making fun of people who want to unify as much as we can.
We're not making fun of it. We're pointing out that it's unnecessary, and mandatory flag salutes come straight out of any other autocratic system that we are trying to prevent in this country. Salute the flag. Everything but this flag. The flag will be just fine. The flag stands for things like leave no one behind. How about you do that? You want to talk about the military? People who sacrifice in the military? Well, in the military, we learn leave no one behind. You don't leave anybody behind on the battlefield. Well, if you're a patriot, you don't leave anybody behind. Period. You don't leave them behind in sickness. You don't leave them behind without a home, without an education, without food. That's what it means to be a patriot. That's when you actually love your country, because the word patriot means fellow countrymen. So you cannot be a patriot and turn your back on your fellow countrymen and women, and you can't call yourself a patriot while doing everything you can to ensure that more of your fellow countrymen and women will die. And then the other fellow countrymen and women, their votes just don't count? Is that it, Matt Gaetz? Because they didn't vote for the grifter, for the autocrat that you want to overthrow, the country that your patriotic outward displays want everybody to see how you pretend to love the country while you're doing everything to undermine and destroy it.
Can and show that unity to the country just by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It sounds like Jerry Nadler has the I gave at the office approach to patriotism, that, well, if you've said it once, that covers you. In these times when our country needs to see that Republicans...
How many fucking times do you have to say a pledge? Listen, this is why I want the Democrats to listen to this show, and if you have any connections with them, please pass this on. We have to push back on these fascists. That's not patriotism. Don't be afraid when you get in front of a camera on the corporate media. Say, no, that's not we're the patriots. We are the real patriots, because we don't leave anybody behind. Matt Gaetz wants us to stop and salute the flag periodically. That's not patriotism. That's a symbol. We're working on the substance. So saluting the flag is the mandatory flag salutes. We all know how that works out in North Korea.
And Democrats can do something together, that we can come together in some ways,
like a child, and salute
before debating some admittedly
just like hugging the flag and humping it, right?
Cori Bush is also on the Judiciary Committee, a new member, and she said that she opposed my amendment to say the Pledge of Allegiance because the pledge was a symbol of white supremacy. Goodness gracious, I just thought it would be something unifying, and you see from either mockery...
Of course, we have to listen to Matt Gaetz's hearsay. And Matt Gaetz never misses the opportunity to divide and conquer the country while he's pretending to want to unify it. Well, why don't you look at, if that's what Cori Bush said, if I'm supposed to take your word for it, ask her why. Why don't you learn something? If you really want to unify the country, how about you understand, if everybody is saying to you, we're working on the substance of America, you could take your symbolism up your wazoo.
Or incendiary comments about race, or just an unwillingness to spend an extra 15 seconds recommitting ourselves to the flag.
I don't recommit myself to a flag. We're talking about, I recommit myself to ensuring that people don't have to needlessly die without health care. A flag? Yeah, we can put a flag over their coffins when they needlessly die. Thanks to you, Matt Gaetz, right? So you can salute and pretend and to care by singing an off-key rendition of America the Beautiful, while turning America the Beautiful into a smoldering ruin. Goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. He is such a fake. I just want to cry like that fake lawyer. He wants to pretend to cry. Or pretends to want to cry.
Face Democrat opposition to that effort.
That's democratic, bitch.
You know, you've been very transparent about where the power lies right now, but this president had promised
how many times? I'm already so over it. He promised to unify. Yes, we unify by doing everything that the fascists want to do, right? That's how you unify. I'm so over it. It's never going to end. You understand that? Every time. But he promised he was going to unify. Whenever they don't get what they want, Yes, we're going to unify about doing everything they want. Just like, well, Barack Obama. Frustrating. Barack Obama had to, he wanted to unify by giving them their very health care plan, the same plan, just through giving it back to them so they can reject it. They didn't want to unify. Republicans have no interest in unifying.
That there would be not just bipartisanship, but there would be unity around certain ideas.
Shut up.
Is that happening?
I'm hopeful for it, but I didn't hear Nancy Pelosi make the same commitment. I hope the president listens to Republicans on everything from the coronavirus to foreign policy.
We've been listening to you on coronavirus. That's why nearly 500,000 are dead. Why don't you get out there and tell the dumbasses who support you, the fascists, the racists, the white supremacists, the morons, the incels, the small dick proud boys, tell them that you're a filthy fascist liar, and you hope they can forgive you for all the lies and harm that you've inflicted on this country, like Lee Atwater. Say, I'm sorry, I lied to you. And that's why nearly 500,000 are dead. I finally see the light by me saying the Pledge of Allegiance every 20 minutes. It's come to my brain's attention that I'm not a patriot. Nobody's stopping him. What do you want to bet that he doesn't say the Pledge of Allegiance? What do you want to bet? Why does he need? If he wants to do it. Who's stopping you, Matt? Do you wake up and do it? Do it. Who's stopping you? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, under God, my ass, with liberty and justice for all. Do it. Say it. Nobody's stopping you, Matt. Say it 20 times a day. Say it morning, noon, and night. But what do you want to bet? What do you want to bet he doesn't say it? Because he's full of shit. He proposed it to stop the work of the that we need to do. We have a pandemic on our hands. We don't need to appease Matt Gaetz's need for outward displays of faux patriotism. We have the work of actual patriotism to get done. I'm so sick of them. And not only that, we're sick. We're sick from them. Oh, God. All right, guys. Look at me. Hello. I'm looking at myself. Oh, my God. Hello, everybody. Okay, let me just say hi to everybody in the chat before we make a plan. We make a plan to hang out tomorrow. What do you think? Let's see. I want to say, who's here? Let me see who's here. Thank you. Errol is on Twitch. Thank you. Facts galore, Tara. Errol says. Thank you again, JD, for 2 super chats, and Slow Tree for your super chat, and Covert White Rabbit for your super chat, Richard W for your super chat, and Robyn M for your super chat, and Stephen Lee, thank you so much for your super chat. And thank you all for all your support, especially tonight's show being sponsored by M. David So how do you pronounce it? So Robbie. Thank you so much for taking the leap, for becoming a patron like Justin Burke did before you. please become a patron. Anybody who's listening, go over to patreon.com/TaraDevlin. If you believe in the real liberal media and want to get the word out that we are the real patriots, that's the truth. We are. And that's why we do the show, too, because we want to give the Democrats, we want to plant these thoughts, these frames in the heads of Democrats, so we take back patriotism from the fascists who stole it. We're the real patriots, and we know how to fix this country. So what we have to do is get it out there. Make the Democrats, the corporate Democrats, need to be pushed where they need to go, but also we do the show so right wingers, when they stumble around the internet, they don't fall into a Q hole. Maybe they'll find us first, and we can save them from being traitors. Because we are the real patriots. This country, the United States, is a patriotic imperative, is a progressive initiative. All right? Never forget, the USA is a progressive country. We were founded from the liberal age of enlightenment. There is nothing more progressive than overthrowing a king and an aristocracy. Especially after thousands of years of being under the thumb of the intergenerational aristocracy. That's why, oh shit, everything is falling. That's why overthrowing the aristocracy now, that's our patriotic imperative right now. And we will do it by getting money out of politics. What else? Well, that's really the root of all evil. We will do it by getting money out of politics, by universal health care, universal higher education, paying for schools out of the general fund, not out of property taxes. This is also how we will heal the country, our racist history. We will start healing like that by having a country where we're in it together. Everybody in, nobody out. We're in this together. We will unify by unifying, not by doing what Republicans want. Let's unify by doing the divisive things Republicans want us to do, which will keep us further apart and keep the American economy the least upwardly mobile with the widest income gap. That's not democracy. So what we talk about is the patriotic imperatives of progressive initiatives, just like the American experiment was a progressive initiative and is still a progressive initiative. So is the promoting the a functioning democracy by promoting progressive policies. Progressives are the patriots because we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, and democracy, and we will win. And they know it. That's why they have to pretend. Just like that guy, the lawyer, had to pretend to want to cry. It's so sickening. They're so transparent. He had to pretend to want to cry. I want to cry. Just like that other guy wanted to cry. He wanted to cry. Well, I'll show him. I want to cry. Oh, my God. All right. My name is Tara Devlin. I will try to do a show tomorrow. It should be good tomorrow. We'll see how the impeachment goes. Thank you all for your super chats. Thank you for your patronage at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Thank you for sharing the show with your friends, getting the word out about Tarabuster, and getting the word out about the progressive policies that will save this country. My name is Tara Devlin. Remember, we are the patriots, and we will win. Because we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, and democracy. We stick together. We win. I'll see you very soon.